welcome back again. This is Seth Disposa, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts, and Occult Science. Today in this segment is a follow-up dissertation with Joe Marquez, current initiate, Blue Flame, Healing Arts, and Occult Science. So how's things going on your end, Joe? Got a lot of fire in my blood. Anything you want to get into, man?
One that's been on my mind, trying to decipher the duality of masculine and feminine. I've always looked at duality as being part of all the deception, but then how does the duality of masculine and feminine come into play as a difference? They're used to keep us apart and keep us against each other and keep us separate. What comes into play when it comes to like the law of gender? How does the law of gender come into play with duality? Because I've always looked at duality as a bad thing.
Right. The law of gender is cosmic law, man. Gender is everything. It is the bedrock of what basically not just perpetuates life here on Earth, but in the cosmos. Gender isn't everything. It's in the fucking universe. Dark matter womb, man. The stars and the planets, and that's the seed, man. That's the sparks. In context to duality, duality is actually an illusion set forth because of the triangulation that's happening of the positive and negative charge of the energy force. So this whole notion of men hold a little bit of the feminine within themselves and the feminine hold a little bit of the masculine within themselves, that's not what is going on. We all both hold the positive and negative charge of the energy force, the spindle of fire. So the secret of the yin yang is that, and there's the boundary condition in terms of the 396. Yin is the 3, yang is the 6. The boundary condition between the two is the 9. The spirals of creation, they move in a spiral. Okay, everything moves in spirals, man. And so the boundary condition, it's a spiral. Sine, cosine, the red and the blue. I'm looking at your fucking jersey right there. You got the red and the blue. When you observe sports, they got the red and they got the blue. The dual.
They had the same thing back in the days of gladiators.
That right there is the manipulation of the sine cosine wave, which is what? Time and space. Triangulated within the loop that we have been caught in the last 26,000, 50,000 fucking years, all the wars and the fucking infighting and the divide and conquer fucking energies. Why is that happening? Because we're taking zero out of the equation, like I talked about, our connection to the higher force and the true gates of intelligence, which brings us through the gates of Libra. So you take, again, zero out of the equation. That's when the illusion of duality comes into play. It's an illusion. All this infighting and warring and fucking finger pointing and all this shit. And then you pick a side, especially in terms of sports, which plays on the tribal codes when it comes to men. This is my team, right? It's fucking ridiculous, man. Iron sharpens iron, you know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about the obsession in terms of divide and conquer energy. The whole concept of the Colosseum was basically created to distract the masses. The bread and circuses, man. People care more about their football team than they do what's actually happening in the fucking reality field. It's thousands of fucking years it's been implemented. It didn't just happen overnight. So once the curtain is pulled back, in terms of the masculine and feminine, we all both hold the positive and negative charge of the energy force. And if that is not harmony within the individual, then it's the cause point for the dual. Polarity exists. The law of polarity is there to teach us how to achieve harmony. If that is not achieved in terms of cosmic law, then it would be the cause point, the illusion of duality, taking it back to the first cosmic law. Again, it's all about our state of mind. It's not the masculine and feminine in terms of the positive and negative.
Right.
The positive and negative charge is everything to do with the energy force with masculine or feminine, because both have that. And this is what a lot of people don't understand when I start talking about this shit, because they want to put everything into duality. In terms of teaching, we all have a little bit of feminine within us. No, we are fucking men.
So males have a positive and negative charge, and females have a positive and negative charge within their own identity.
Yes, in terms of the law of gender.
That makes a lot more sense to me. And so that distortion that they chucked in there, being a bit of feminism or the feminines have a bit of masculine, is the byproduct of that.
It's an absolute byproduct of it. Things in context to neo-feminism. women in masculine energy. It's destroying them in context to the law of gender. It robs them of their essence,
going
and their
against
true essence as beings here on earth.
And that goes back to, like you say, they are hunting down the feminine. They are really trying to suppress it.
Yeah.
And they always, I know when I talk to people, they always ask the question, why is it like men, they get brought up and they don't say anything, but women, they go crazy about it? And I think it's because that's how much it's getting pushed. I remember I was talking to a mate of mine the other day and talking about it like, so we're talking about feminism. And I think that's just a show of how much the media, everything is just trying to push. A woman needs to be a man.
It completely deregulates the spindle of the energy force, man. It inverts
throws them off balance massively. Then they blame the man because that's what they're getting told.
Then it's not okay to be a certain way with a woman according to the indoctrination.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Be very aware of a woman that squares up. It's bullshit because it goes back to the limbic brain, and then that ends up getting projected unconsciously in context to what I'm getting at, man.
Okay,
go ahead.
Right, question number 2, which is a big one because I'm really puzzled by it. What's your opinion of Law of One as you would currently see it at the moment?
The main question I want to bring forth in context to that would be, are you one with yourself? How could we be one with one another if we're not one with ourselves? And what is the Law of One based upon? Consensus fucking trance? What is the philosophy of the Law of One based upon?
That it all goes down to one source.
If that were the case, then the world would not be the way that it is. There are many grid works of consciousness. Lace the fuck out, man.
Yeah.
I think of religion as one of...
It all goes to one source.
But my God's the true God and your God's the false God. And then we go to fucking war. How is that one?
That in itself all leads down to one in the Phantom Matrix, the Metatron, all the religions, whether you're Christian, all Abrahamic religions, that one behind the scenes is of all of them, if you get what I'm saying. That is all included in the Law of One. They're all the infighting, but all that energy goes to one.
It is all the same thing in terms of the Metatronics, which I just pretty much broke the fuck down with the most recent segment. The Metatronics, it's everything to do with the triangulation of the 396. Again, zero out of the equation with the Pythagorean theorem. It all goes back to the Pythagorean order of Teth. Pythagoras was a Greek.
So you've got 2 Law of Ones. You've got the Law of One of yourself, and then you've got the manipulated, distorted version of the Law of One.
Well, I was asked this question a long time ago. Speaking with Sean Stone, he asked me the same question. I was like, how are we all one if we can't even be one with ourselves? And what is oneness based upon? Because everybody has their idea of what that would be. So there has to be a code, universal knowledge in terms of what I'm getting at. But going back to the divide and conquer in terms of Metatronics and the triangulation into the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 is the cause point for duality. Therefore, we are not all one, let alone one with ourselves, because people don't know thyself.
Right, gotcha.
You have to come to know thyself in order to be one with the universe, with the gods and goddesses, in terms of the ancestors and the higher force. And if that happened with, say, everyone on Earth, then maybe. But everyone in terms of path work, they're not operating in terms of the original teaching, which all goes back to the Atlantean manipulation. And this has been going on for a very long time now. And that's why people have to do the real work.
What do you class as the real work? Because you see it in the left brotherhood, the right brotherhood, New Age, everything. What do you class as the right work?
The original teaching, in terms of what I'm getting at, laying the proper foundation.
Going back to protocol.
It all goes back to protocol, man. And this isn't my teaching. I'm not the arbiter of anything I'm fucking saying here. It took me many years to discover what the viable, proper knowledge and wisdom actually is, not only to lay the proper foundation, but pull things into alignment in terms of trajectory here. And a lot of people, they're just thrown to the left or to the right. Again, what I was saying about the magician card, the lilies and the roses, that's the 3 and the 6, man. Another example of how the manipulation of the spindle is hijacked in terms of the ether going back to the mental and emotional bodies, and the overlay and the distortions and all this other kind of fucking shit that they get us to trade out our potential. And then people want to dive into these sorts of things, but
they don't have any foundation or any knowledge of what it actually is.
And they get raked out into all this other stuff. There have been too many people that I've spoken with that have hit me up that have been into these things in religion and practice, and they still have not felt like they have come to perception of it. I know what the foundation is. The true master is going to go back to the foundation daily. Because in order to expand onto the 3 spirals of creation, you have to have the proper fucking foundation, man.
Yeah, it all goes down to core. You have to know. You have to understand.
There's a lot of things I'm resting on in terms of what's been revealed. I have not even come close to fucking unpacking yet or putting out there public because it's not time. And I'm not hoarding knowledge or trying to fucking hold back anything. It's just I try to break it down and make things as simple as I can for people to, at the very least, consider.
I remember because I used to listen to a lot of stuff with George Kavasilas. He was sort of the one I was 11 or 12 actually started listening to. And I remember when you done your segment with George, my dad, this is before I even knew who you were, my dad went, Joe, you've got to listen to this guy. Just listen to him. It's that, and the fire, it's like, just listen to this. Like, it was just straight to the point, no sugarcoating. And I remember just like, I think some people will be snowflakes and some people don't want the real look of it. They want it sugarcoated, refuse to look at how it really is.
Yeah.
It's like I've got a mate of mine who is massive into Gurdjieff stuff. You listen to some of the stuff, it's all about the eyes with him and all this sort of stuff, and you're just like, but you've got to control your ego and all of this. So you just listen to him like, fucking hell. You listen to me like, you've lost who you are. You've got no fire for you. Everything's. If someone makes you angry, you've got to apologize. Like, fuck, am I going to apologize? You made me angry for a reason. It's like, it's everything. You can't take everything seriously. You must apologize for everything because it's taught you a lesson. It's just, you just look at that like, man, that's bollocks. Like, we've had enough stuff fucking thrown at us for us to start apologizing for everything. Jesus Christ. So you see all these people going down different paths.
It just tightens the knot on the fucking blindfold even harder, man.
Yeah, but the thing is you try and you just look at their eyes and you know that that's gone completely over their head and they've paid no attention whatsoever. Like, if you're going to get into this stuff, you have to go in with an open mind. If you go down one path, you'll hit a rabbit hole and you'll just go deeper and deeper and deeper, and then you're fucked. I've done it before. You read something, you're like, oh no, this is it. I really like this, makes so much sense. And then you're like, no, it's not. I see so many people spend 20, 30 years into this sort of stuff. And I've spoken to them and their answer to everything is all revolved around one thing. And you're like, it can't all be just going, never changes, it will always go to there. It's like, no, it doesn't make sense. No, it's not all about consciousness. It is about consciousness, and there's other stuff going on. There's a bigger picture. And he went, so we've got the positive and negative. If you look at the laws of nature, the electricity is positive, negative. Never, they're two things that should never come together. And I was just like, what? I was like, no. He's like, no, positive and negative, they should never come together. They should never be united. I'm like, fuck off. It's like the power is of the positive and negative coming together. That is the power there.
Right, and if it needs a fucking ground,
yes,
in terms of the boundary condition, in order for electricity
to flow
correctly.
Yeah. Like,
otherwise, it's just all over the fucking place.
Yeah. You get a negative and negative magnet and you put them together, they will not touch no matter how much you force them together. Yeah, they repel each other. So why does positive and negative go straight together? Because that's how it's supposed to be. And then he started getting into the moon is the ego, and I was like, look, mate, I can't fucking listen to this. I was like, no. One thing, you made a really, really good point, and that's one of the questions I want to get into about is when, obviously, I know you've talked about Thoth in your marathon of the 8-hour video. But when you obviously Thoth invading thought and Thoth meaning thought and the manipulation of thought, my mate's absolutely just the way he sees it is he's trapped in his own mind and his emotions are controlled by his thought. And I was just trying to say to him, it's like, can you not see that is a problem there? You should be mastering thought and emotion, not letting it control you. Seeing yourself. Oh, it gets on my nerves.
People have to recognize the streams of how the neurons and the synapse and the patterning they hold, you could say in terms of neurotransmitters and all this other kind of stuff, in terms of the radar, because thought and emotion acts like a radar, like I'm talking about. So in order to regulate the radar, you have to be able to slow it down enough to be able to observe, is this thought coming from my true thought essence or something else? And a lot of people can't distinguish the two, first of all, because they have not done the groundwork in order to know the fucking difference. You know what I'm saying? And so all of this static that's being picked up on in terms of overlay when it comes to thoughts, this all goes back to the Metatronics. Discussing these things is fine, but going into it all and doing the real fucking work, it is a completely different dynamic. It doesn't matter in terms of knowledge. The real question is, are we applying this knowledge to our existence?
Yeah.
It's practical. It has to be practical.
And you
Am I
have
always
to
on it
practice it.
fucking 24/7? No. Fuck no, I'm not, dude. It's about knowing the difference and applying these principles at every given fucking moment, as much as it depends on you.
Yeah.
That's why you got to take time and train yourself enough to where the radar is being regulated in terms of the gates of true intelligence.
And I think that's one thing I've had to learn since the initiation. That's one thing I've had to learn massively. For months on end, it was like fucking thought after thought after thought. Your mind's just racing. You can't switch off. And I think it didn't help when I go back to like my Aries and Aries energy just take over. Everything needed to get done. Everything was flooding through my mind. I think as I've learned to let the Virgo energy just help me just relax, and I'm slowly getting better and better. But I still get days where you're like, bloody hell, my head's a mess. And some days I'm like calm and I'm all right. It's a journey. And I think one thing I've noticed with probably not just 2020, 2019, mental illness nowadays, I think is just a show of how much people are losing their mind to the thought of losing their thought of Thoth, the manipulation of Thoth, just driving the hammer in, and them not having a clue what's going on.
And people want to be passive about this and just assume that they're going to be able to skirt through the eye of the needle, man. It don't fucking work like that. People don't know how to navigate consciousness. They've not been taught. They don't know their disposition. They don't know thyself. And there's not enough people with the viable proper knowledge to be able to convey these things to our children so that they know. There's a lot of other factors that come into play.
Everything's a medication now.
That's the fucking problem, man, because people have been conditioned to think that something's wrong with them because they're feeling.
How many people are depressed because they don't want to admit fault? They don't want to deal with their shadow selves. They've done something. They're the reason that something's happened. They will never blame themselves, because they will never come to terms and say, actually, I was in the wrong there, or I'm at fault here. It just eats and eats and eats and eats away at them, and they'll never clock on because they refuse to take responsibility. No one wants to take responsibility anymore. I think that is one of the biggest killers. Don't want to take responsibility. It's everyone else's fault. Fucking, we've all done wrong. We're only human. So many people forget that. It's like, no, I'm not wrong. It's their fault. No, come on. I also understood whenever I'm in one of those places how to get myself out of it. And that is one of the strongest things I think I can do. People also forget the law of rhythm. You could be in the darkest fucking depths. I look at that as this year. We are going through so much shit at the moment. But like the law of rhythm, it's universal law. Right. And it's just like we said on our last talk, it's hunkering down, fucking stakes are in. Fucking hell, sometimes I wake up, I'm like, I want to do more. I can't just hunker down. I need to do more. It's like you want to find that way out of the forest, but
right. So what else would you like to get into now?
So our last talk, we're getting into very briefly about the indigo stuff and the indigo realm, the UV realm. You spoke about the blue flames with 3 primordial energies or something along those lines.
3
that
primal
was it,
sounds.
yeah.
And that's getting into things in context to the higher force. It's primal energy, man. Pure, raw, infallible consciousness, man. And to embrace that, like I was talking about with the blue flame, it's very powerful in terms of quote unquote bliss states that are not the inverted draconian bliss. It's very healing, but it's also a very purging power, the third energy. And it's going to route out everything that you are not in place of who you truly are. Primal.
Yeah, but I think I lost it a little bit, because I got to the point where I was looking at everyone around me in not hatred, but just complete and utter just disappointment. Like, you try and explain something to someone and they're just so stuck in their ways. You're like, it's just, I went through for a good 4 or 5 months, just this period of just, I've had enough of just where it's going. It's like, I can't be bothered anymore. But then I thought, I just know you can't, you're giving into it then. You can't lose that love for humanity. I'm glad I came back into that, because I was turning into a nasty person. I really was. Just didn't give a fuck. This definitely really changed my perspective of a lot of things. You say the free primal sound.
Things in context to the primal sound fields is everything to do with the eternal collective consciousness that's projected by the higher force itself.
Right, okay.
It originally seeded the reality field, but this is what we've been cut off from in terms of grid works of consciousness when it comes to sound, energy, frequency, and vibration. Hence the static and all the fucking shit in terms of the triangulation that's happening within the etheric realm. It's that fucking ceiling, man. And in order to breach that, connection to the higher force must be established first and foremost to lay the proper foundation so that you have a trajectory beyond all of the fucking shit that we're fucking ripping through. Otherwise, you're going to get fucking caught. Boom, you're ripping through the fucking veils, doing the real work, shadow work, all this kind of stuff. But if you can't see past in terms of what may come up, again, becoming the observer from the fucking core, you're in a Mad Max fucking tank. All right. There's the trajectory. We know what's beyond this. Build up enough momentum within the fulcrum. That's why you got to take time building up that power within yourself, because you can't just go into this. The way we approach it, all of this work is very sacred.
Once you go into it, it's got such a calling to it. You can't escape it. Once you're in, you're in.
Time. Don't worry about ripping through everything all at once. So in terms of the primal sound fields, we all have a signature sound song frequency in context to that. Can you hear where it's taking you? We are here in this reality. It happens here. And it's not to get caught up in all this etheric shit, just to know the fucking difference in terms of whatever's happening at any given time. And then you stay focused. What has happened in the world, again, rabbit hole after fucking rabbit hole after fucking rabbit hole, man. You could have all the knowledge that there is, but do you have power in terms of wisdom? That's the difference here, man. Be able to distinguish things in terms of information. First of all. Second, propaganda. Third, what's the viable knowledge that I need to be focused on? And fourth, how do I apply it? Now, without connection to the higher force, you are guaranteed to be pulling things from different grid works in context of the triangulation and lockdown equation. It really goes back to what our focus is in terms of path work, man. It's just about knowing the fucking difference and not allowing whatever the fuck is going on in the world to dictate or determine how we're going to live our fucking lives. We have to know the fucking difference. Otherwise, when that becomes your fucking focus, you're just raked out into it all, man. Look at the field of fucking politics, man. You got elections coming up in the states, dude. People are going to flip in their fucking shit.
I don't know how much you agree with this, but I think America might. But depending on who gets it, I think you could have a civil war coming your way.
No one can determine the future, man. People can't even be. There's going to be a civil war. Well, how do you fucking know? People just need to shut the fuck up and train themselves how to be present. All these concerns about the future.
Should know the past, but shouldn't let it possess you.
The last thing we fucking need is a civil war. Disassociated.
It just creates more divide.
It creates more of the illusion. The real war that people are facing is the one within themselves. But they don't know how to fucking navigate that shit, let alone regulate. Context of proper knowledge and fucking wisdom. It's just going to be a fucking repeat. A repeat of a fucking repeat, the same skip in the fucking record. You look at history in terms of war, there's no fucking winners. The only ones that fucking win and implement it behind the fucking scenes. People going into the limbic brain, that hardcore like survival mode. That survival instinct is fucking there.
Yeah.
Don't get me fucking wrong. I don't negate that fucking shit, but we can't be living from a place of survival. We need to be living from a place of thriving.
Yeah.
Knowing the difference and doing magic and being in a place of co-creation with one another instead of infighting and ripping and tearing each other to fucking shreds, man. I've seen lifetimes. I vowed not to join the fucking military in this life.
Yeah.
I've never fucking done that, man. Thought this scathed.
So it's quite obvious humanity as a whole is, you got the people that know and the people that don't. But what do you do about, we've got to ride this out, but what do you do about the people that don't know what's going on but will never know? It's like they're not here to know. You can explain all of this to them, show them as much proof as you can possibly muster, but they will still go, no. You want to try and help people and spread the word, and
you do what you can. And that's why we need more people that know the difference, that are doing the real work, that can reach the place of rhetoric. Because the more people that do that, the more people will have the opportunity to at least consider. I'm just one person, dude. I can't save the fucking earth. Put it out for those who it's meant. And if you can't recognize that,
you know who you are.
Like, well, I'm not going to fucking say anything, then you're a fucking coward. And you're not really awake, man. The mark of someone that is truly awake is an individual that reaches a place of rhetoric. You don't just go into all this fucking knowledge for no reason. It's fine for personal path work. I took it upon myself, man. Nobody told me I had to do this. I felt a responsibility. You know, fuck it. Having conversations like this with people like you that want to fucking know.
So, in terms of where this is all going, with this, I understand and I completely agree with the spearhead of evolution. But what is that evolution leading to? As a collective, not so much as a personal. I mean, it's as personal as it is collective, but once this has all run its course, where do you think our job as the spearhead of evolution, where do you think, number one, it's taking us and we need to hit? Because there's an objective here. I think there's an objective, and that's one of the reasons why we incarnated. What do we need to hit? Or where do you think we're going to hit? That sort of thing.
At least 5% of the population.
So where do you think all of this is going once we get past the ending of the Great Year? They don't have jurisdiction anymore. They're trying to grab what they can.
They don't have jurisdiction, but it's all this old programming that's still running its fucking course. And
but once it's run its course, where are we going to? Or where do you think we're going to?
Well, in terms of timeline trajectory, it's been wound up so fucking tight. That has not been determined.
But is 5% enough to choose what you create, or is it a personal creation?
To get a tipping point in terms of awareness in the fucking reality field. But most people, like I've said, they're just at the first fucking veil, man. Just because you learn about government and whatever fucking corruption's happening in the world does not constitute awakening. They don't give a fuck if we knew about that. What they don't want us to know, Joe, is who the fuck we are, what our true roots are, and what the alignment of our true purpose and destiny is in terms of incarnation. We are closer than we have ever fucking been to a certain trajectory. And that's why those of us that know the difference, we have to stay the fucking course, man. Encourage and empower ourselves and encourage and empower others. In terms of Scorpio, like we were talking about, it's the energy of transformation. And I feel it.
Yeah. I see myself, where I've come this year and probably over the last 2 years, I've seen myself fucking grow, even in the last 2 months, and noticing all these little things, even just physical things, when I could just walk into a room and I could read everyone. Someone could give me one look and I can understand what they're saying. Everything like that. But then I look at the guy next to me, I'm like, everyone who's doing the real work actually knows what's going on, is dealing with the fucking shit and going through so many changes, but the people who have no idea are just there, stagnant, and fuck all's going on. What the fuck? What's infuriating is I see so many people who will ask a question asking me to explain the source, but you know that behind the scenes they don't give a shit. It's gone straight over their head. When I found out about this stuff, I went fucking crazy for it. It was like fucking lighter fluid to a flame. It exploded. But then you see it with some other people, and it's like, why this year's been fucking insane? And that's where I look at the whole of humanity. Why are more people not clocking onto this sort of stuff? Fucking hell.
I'm going to pull this segment into a break, and we're going to dive into things after we come back. It all goes back to things I've addressed over the years and everything else in context of what was amplified this year. This is Ethic Exposa, blackearthproductions. We'll be right back after the break. from the break. Again, this is Seth Esposa, Black Earth Productions, Blue Flame, Healing Arts, and Occult Science. I'm here with Joe Marquez, getting into some very interesting topics that definitely need to be addressed as we continue to dive more into the discussion, breaking things down so that hopefully more of you out there listening will be able to catch these things and pull yourself out of all that muck, all that mire, all that void bullshit. It has nothing to do with who we are. So the test of the heart at the moment goes back to what we need to be focused on and what we need to continue to set forth as was sanctioned all these years ago, not just on this platform, but others that have been at the forefront and those that still need to come to the forefront. So Joe, I'm going to pull it back on with you and we're going to continue.
Look, they're making it so obvious now that it's a load of bollocks. If you're not clocking on, you're just clinically stupid. People who do clock on don't want to do anything about it. And it's like, what? Like, you can see the problem, but then you don't want to try and figure it out.
What can you do? And that's the whole premise. Think about the Battle of Thermopylae. At least they had the fucking balls.
No, you'll show them something that is of obvious resemblance and is basically the same thing, but just in another aspect. And they go, yeah, no, I completely agree. That's bollocks. But then they look at this and go, but no, but that's complete true.
Typical fucking reaction is denial. Because it forces the narrative, again, in terms of the stories that people tell themselves, the synapses, the neurons, the neurotransmitters, the pathways of thought that have been grooved into the minefield. And anything that comes to fuck with people's quote unquote narrative or their little bubble of assumption, the first typical reaction when it comes to truth, at first it's denied. Second, it's violently opposed, meaning they're going to gnash their teeth. They're going to fucking call you crazy. They're going to do all this shit. The third phase is when it becomes self-evident to the individual after a certain time. And then in terms of solution, what is the viable solution?
Out of all the emotions and situations you can be in, betrayal is definitely one that hits a little bit different. I don't really want to get into it too much, but everyone in the team flipped on me, and that's about as much as I want to get into that one. I'll smash it back. I don't give a shit anymore. Like, there's no sense of, I feel like I'm so powerful within myself.
Yeah, it runs a little bit deeper in terms of the core wound of humanity, man. That's what it all goes back to in terms of the fourth veil. I warned about it 4 fucking years ago. I've not been wrong.
Yeah, maybe, you haven't.
And if we don't catch this shit, it's just going to be the same play out of what's already fucking happened. I'm going to let the program fucking run us and rake our fucking minds and our fucking hearts out into a fucking pit.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that shit? That's an algorithm that is deeply engrooved. If we're not reaching past, the fuck is the fucking point, man?
But talking about the Phoenix, fucking hell, I've got other shit kicking up now. The Phoenix was the biggest thing. And all my fucking dreams have been feeling like I'm in a massive round table surrounded by dragons. But there's a sense of importance there. The dragons are all cardinal points. The white, the black, the red, the yellow. That's the round table, and I'm sat there. And that one isn't malicious, which is why I'm following that dream line. Since then, every night's been dreaming about the same thing. What is your opinion of dream state?
Labyrinth of the Nine Veils, Part 1, in context to the third veil. I get into dream states. I've had very, very fucking vivid dream states with me over here for quite a while now, man. I mean, the entire fucking year, just all these different synchronicities and pieces to the equation and confirmation. Pay attention to your dream states, man. If you can recognize if you are in a lucid place within yourself, that's all the better.
You can always tell if it's a lucid dream, I find, because if you come out of it and you go straight back in and it carries on, I normally find it feels so real that when you're waking up, it's almost like it's still playing in your mind.
The only thing that ever rests is the physical body. The mind is always awake, observing. It's important to ground in terms of disposition. Water is the ability to pierce the fucking veils, man. Where you are going to experience dream states the most is your sun in the 12th house energy and your Venus in the 12th house. So your perpetuity at dream states is very pronounced in terms of the gateways of intelligence for you in the 12th house. You can ground very well with the 12th house with your moon in Virgo and your Venus in Virgo in the 12th house. You're pretty balanced. Can definitely go into dream states and extract a lot. I mean, shit, dude, your sun's in Leo and your Mars is in Scorpio. You're extremely powerful, dude. And I got Scorpio and Leo as well, man. That's why I can flow with you now.
You got a service on your page of the Wolford Now training.
And it's all about learning how to master the art of hyperdimensional warfare. You definitely have the disposition for it.
Yeah. And a question about the circle. When I first done the circle, if you imagine I'm sitting down, at first it was almost like half a circle around me. As I've done more and more and more and more of it, it's actually become less of a semicircle. I feel like I can close my eyes and bring myself to a state where I feel like it just almost expands from my center thing.
Like a sphere.
Yeah.
This is how it works, man. This is what you got to do, man. Anytime you feel shit coming in on your morphogenetic field, man, you got to push out. You got to send out pulse waves like an EMP blast from your fucking heart. Just fucking do it. Push out within the fucking fulcrum, man. It is the cause point, that constrictive energy coming in, thrown out of my morphogenetic field.
Do you know the one where they're by the lake and you've got the deer and the deer's pulsing off? Almost feels like that. Like I don't need to draw the circle anymore because I feel like I've become the circle inside me. It felt like I could just almost expand just out of myself, that pulse. And then as soon as I started doing that, I felt, fuck me, I feel in a state of like, you can't even fucking touch me. Before it was like, oh, I need to draw the circle. But now it feels like I can just do that. And I feel completely within myself, if that makes any sense. I didn't know if that was like, I'm doing it completely wrong or no, you have to draw the circle. Because when I'd done that, it felt so much more powerful, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it felt like it was a small space. Now it feels like I can just fill a room. Because I always thought, fuck, am I doing it wrong? Where am I going wrong here? Because I never felt the need of, I have to draw a circle every time. I feel like I can just expand from my center.
Well, you are.
Just that fucking clears up so much shit. So that makes a lot of sense.
Fucking energy, and then you push out with that power that's there within the core.
You overpower it. That shit just goes. Perfect. That makes so much sense to me now.
And that is how you fortify your fucking field in terms of what that cone of power you throw out. And I throw it out in a fucking spiral, a spiral pulse. It's like an EMP blast. It shoots through my body. I can feel it through my nervous system. It just goes out and everything. And then you continue to expand that field in terms of your connection to the blue flame itself. They can't fucking stand that, man. If you can throw 100,000 fucking macro volts, that's fine. But not everybody can. And you don't always need to be doing that. That comes down to things in terms of personal path work, man. If you're getting all this shit come on you, whether it's thought forms or whatever, man, and you got to regulate your energy system. And the quickest way, the fastest way, the most powerful way to do it, again, like I said, it's like two triangles coming in at the fucking heart. You pull up from the lower, down from the upper, and then you fucking blast out. It's energetic. I'm a level 1 Qigong practitioner. I'm not a master by any means, you know, but I'll send you a video on Qigong.
Okay.
But no, you're doing it right.
That's good. I'll definitely look into the Wolford Now training then. That'll probably be my next move. I wanted to talk things out of you, get the things out that I felt like I might have been swaying from, where I've come in the right direction. That's why I felt like I wanted to do a follow-up session. I needed to do a tarot one because your fucking tarot readings are deadly accurate. I feel like doing that Wolford Now training, get involved a bit more. What's your opinion of crystals? And there's a lot of ways to work with crystals, and there's some ways I don't agree with, and there's other ways I'm...
Well, again, everything we use in terms of ritual or ceremony or whatever is meant to be an extension of mind. Working with crystals and different stones and all of that can and do assist. But if you're solely relying upon the crystal or stone, then it's not going to work right. And also in context of regulating certain energies depending on the type of crystal or stone that you use to charge a certain frequency. It just depends on what you're using in terms of your intention. Okay, what is the intention behind the use of any particular crystal or stone. Crystals themselves are the nervous system of the earth.
I've heard you say that before. Yeah.
So you think of the nervous system, again, what I talked about in terms of the radar, you could use crystals to regulate the nervous system in terms of sound consciousness, energy, frequency, and vibration. So I'm not opposed in terms of
Cool.
using crystals or stones or anything like that. To rely solely upon that and not what's there within the core, you're not going to be able to charge that crystal in fashion and be able to use it correctly. You got to reach beyond the deregulation in terms of the nervous system of your own energy body. And also this goes back to the earth itself and all the fucking grids, depending on what kind of crystals and stones that you use will determine many different things. And you can get an encyclopedia in terms of different kinds of crystals and stones.
Yeah, I know the one I've been using lately on Mura Site 23 from the Cave of Wonders in Canada. It's the one I've been using lately.
Yeah, Roralite.
Fuck me, that's a fuck. That and Moldavite. What do you use on your tarot? When you send a picture of a tarot, there's a stone there. I've recognized it. I just don't know what it is.
Roralite.
That's a Moralite.
Yeah, stone of truth, man.
I've been referenced so many times about being an indigo. It'd be interesting to see if I can dive a bit deeper into that. Actually, one thing, can I ask you just before we end this out? You know how you've got the Nordic archetype, Thor, Odin, all of that. You look at Celtic, very similar to Nordic.
Every race, tribe, and culture has their animist tradition. It's not anything to obsess over, man. Just a sliver of things in terms of anything I've ever gotten into. It's not even close to the full spectrum of what is even happening in terms of path work or what this platform is all about. It's not even fucking close, man. Everything has been skewed in terms of what the Anu Draconians did, you know, raking out things in terms of the shaman lines and then inverting everything. I mean, there's a lot of distortions there within the mythos that has to be released. We have to release the ancestors, man. And then catching up the soul cycles, bringing things back into alignment so that the new mythos.
We are the new mythos.
We are the new mythos. Good. Good. Good.
That's what people are forgetting.
Very good.
You learn from the past, but we are the present.
Let's go and wrap things up, man.
It has been an honor.
Absolutely, man. Kick ass.
Yeah, will do.
And as we move through time and as we move through space, becoming very aware of the nature of reality, not only in context to how things actually work, but the nature of what we have been up against has to be addressed from not only a place of observation, but in terms of metaphysics. We are approaching gates that have never been crossed over since what happened did. To that, I want to send out an encouragement to everyone that knows the difference. If anyone listening for the first time, or if you have been considering to take the initiation, Joe is an individual that has done this. I've been working with him for quite a while, and he's getting very powerful results, obviously with the feedback that you've been able to hear in the specific segments. And so to that, send me an email at blackearthproductions@hotmail.com. The website, click on the services page at blackearthproductions.com. And as we work to bring things into alignment at the procession of the grand cycle of the great year, to which we are now moving into the energies of transformation. Now is the time to set on course, not only unto yourself, but those around you. And own yourself and own this for real. This is Seth Gisboza, Black Earth Productions. Be empowered, be encouraged.